has some of the powerful speakers here, and the theme is Successful SIP Models, Case Studies and Action Plans. The chairperson is Dr. T. Tyagarajan, and the speakers list include eminent educationists like Mr. Shekhar Viswanathan, Mr. Tyagu Valliyappa, Professor Dr. B. Abhay Kumar, Mr. Rajiv B. Bhatnagar. A brief profile about our chairperson. Dr. T. Tyagarajan obtained his PhD in Intelligent Control from Anna University. He also pursued postdoctoral work in auto-tuning from NTU, Taiwan, using National Science Council Fellowship. He served as HOD of Instrumentation Engineering Department, MIT campus, Anna University for 6 years, and currently working as the Director, Center for University Industry Collaboration, Anna University. So, on behalf of SEED and the delegates, we welcome you, sir. It is hard to introduce Shekhar, sir, without talking about VIT. He was a student of VIT and first served the institution in the 1990s as vice chairman. He contributed to the growth of the university from its humble beginnings as Belur Engineering College. His leadership was instrumental in founding years of the institution and in preparing VEC to become VIT. Between his tenures at the institution, Shekhar worked in the US to get more experience from the wider world. VIT is recognized as one of the top engineering institutions in the country today, with a sprawling green campus of 17,000 students from around the world. So on behalf of SEED and the delegates, I welcome you, sir. And this is actually regarding the next speaker, Mr. Tyagu Valliyappa, the Executive Director, Sona Valliyappa Group, and Vice Chairman, Sona Group of Educational Institutions, Salem. A brief note on Mr. Tyagu Valliyappa. He is an Executive Director with a wide range of experience at different levels and in various businesses. With unique grassroots, learning right from 1999, Mr. Tyagu Valliyappa has experience in manufacturing, plantations, technology, infrastructure, warehouse, and logistics and education. His approach has always been to bring in the learning and build across functional organizations with best practices, flexibility, and dynamism. As the Vice Chairman of Sona College of Technology and Tyagarajar Polytechnic, his focus is to add a new dimension to student learning methods through industry collaboration. We welcome you, sir. Dr. V. Abhay Kumar holds Engineering Master's degree in Communication System. He received his PhD from Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. Currently, he is the principal of Tyagarajar College of Engineering, Madurai. He has more than 2 decades of research and teaching experience in microwave, remote sensing, digital signal processing, and image processing. His research interests include array signal processing and smart antennas. On behalf of SEED, we welcome you, sir. The last but not the least, our speaker, Rajiv P. Bhatnagar, who is the Vice President and Head HR, Corporate Center, L&T Construction. He was also the Vice President and Head Human Resource at L&T. He was also the Senior Manager, Fujits Optal Limited, Bhopal, Senior Manager, Outsourcing, General Electric Company. He started his career from GE, I suppose. Started your career from GE. So we welcome you, sir. So the panel session now opens.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your wonderful introduction. You have some more to tell?
No, fine, sir. It is open.
Very esteemed audience and my colleagues on the dais who are going to present. It is indeed a very unique privilege and rare honor for me to chair this session. Hats off to the organizers having a conglomeration of variety of groups. To start here itself, a principal of a autonomous institute, an institution builder here, a professor from university setup, a top class industrialist, and another educational builder from other part of Tamil Nadu. So this itself will tell you how the group is. Now the time is 12 o'clock. I am planning to wind up the session by 1:15. Is that okay, or shall we make it 1 o'clock? 1:15. So we have around 75 minutes time. 5 speakers are there. I request them to have 12 minutes, maybe 3 minutes extra for concluding the part. So with the permission of all the audience, I start the business and show the people that we can wind up in 12 minutes for each session. We have another stalwart here, Professor Charukesi. Welcome you, sir. Very good afternoon to all of you. In the morning, we had listened to a very good word like VIBGR. Can you recall the word? Can somebody? Beautiful word from microscope expert. He was telling one beautiful word. SMAC, yeah, you are right. The social, the mobility, the analytic, and cloud computing. I appreciate his anguish towards the academic institutions, whether we are giving those inputs to our students. We are doing that, sir. Dr. Kalam, the illustrious alumnus of Anna University, MIT campus, when he was a president, in one of the 26th January speeches, he was pointing out 3 connectivities. The first connectivity he was telling about is physical connectivity by means of roads connecting all major cities, the Golden Quadrangle. The second connectivity he was pointing out is the electronic connectivity. We sit under a tree with the help of Wi-Fi and making the world look like a global village. The third connectivity he was pointing out is the knowledge connectivity in the form of the workshops or seminars or conferences conducted by SEED, a group of all the stakeholders assembling in one place and exchanging the thoughts. So let us give a big applause to the organizers of SEED for their wonderful initiative. These are some of the people who are involved in what I am going to talk about, the topic successful SIIP models, case studies, and action plans. This title has been talked for years when Dr. P.J. George was the secretary of ISTE way back in 2004, 2020 years back itself. This title was talked very high, IIP, Industry Institute Partnership Cell. How do you bridge the gap? These are the words again it is being spoken. For the benefit of the youngsters, those who are not knowing, it starts with Professor Sivalingam, the first Vice Chancellor, then the VC Kolandaswamy, Dr. Anandakrishnan, Dr. Vasagam, Dr. Kalanidhi, Dr. Balagurusamy, who started this Tamil Nadu state level placement concept, which is again bridging the gap between industry and institute, Professor Viswanathan, Professor Mannar Jawahar, Professor Kaliraj, and now the legacy is continued with our dynamic Vice Chancellor, Dr. Rajaram. Another beautiful slide tells you in one word why the organizers has invited Anna University, the largest technological university with more than 540 colleges, and recent QS ratings of the BRICS countries. If you put all the universities together, in the top 200, 20 universities have taken place from India, including 6 IITs. Anna University is one among them. And thanks to the organizers for recognizing and inviting us for this unique program. These are some of the illustrious alumnus we have who have taken us in the roadmap for bridging the so-called gap between industry and institute, starting from Dr. Kalam, the former president of India, and Dr. Ramasamy from AC Tech. From each campus I have put one. Dr. Varghese, the pioneer in the white revolution, and Uday Kumar, an youngster who has coined the rupee symbol. He is from School of Architecture. That is the background of university. And now coming to the focus of the important topic that is talked about. In most of the institutions, if you see, we call it as a placement cell, which focuses on giving the placement to the students. But the stalwarts in the first slide I have shown, they thought in a different view. Don't call it as a placement cell, you call it as a holistic view, Center for University-Industry Collaboration. That's something we have to appreciate, the vision and mission of the great people who ruled Anna University as CEOs. We have an exclusive building to take care of it. The collaboration there is, it starts with, of course, the placement, the industrial training, etc., and moves towards bridging the technical gap, then technology development and transfer, and then the consultancy using the facilities at the university. If you go a little more deep, Most of the institutions, when a placement officer is put in charge, he will be focusing on placement, placement and placement. An industry will not simply come forward and say, come, let us handshake, I will take your people. We should start with a humble beginning. A baby who bonds, immediately it cannot run for 100 meters dash. Even if the baby lifts the head, the parents will feel so happy. கவுந்து படுத்துக்கிறது, முட்டி போட்டு நடக்கிறது, people will happy. So those are the steps involved to so-called bridging the gap between industry and institute. The humble beginning can be, why don't you have a structured industrial visit program for all the students of different branches? Then go for in-plant training during the summer and winter vacation without any stipend to start with. Then we go for internship with stipend, maybe to the tune of 5 lakhs to maybe 50,000, 5,000 to 50,000, depending upon the company's capability and the student's potential. Can we offer some kind of fellowship to the PhD scholars in a particular domain? A core company comes forward, then in that domain. An IT company comes forward in that domain. Can we have some kind of research fellowships? Can we invite our own alumni who are in the industry to mentor our students? வீட்டில் எப்பவுமே நம்ம சொன்ன பேச்சு பசங்க கேட்க மாட்டாங்க. ஒரு அங்கிள் ஆண்டியை வந்து சொல்லும்போது they listen to that. Can we use that kind of alumni who is in a very high position industry to mentor our students? Can you think of industrial associateship? I explain to that in the next slide, and a formal MOU to conduct the activities. These are some of the typical industries whom we have handshake. I have projected most of the red color to tell you that it is not the IT alone that is ruling, the core companies also rule. If you look at the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, to have a very good structured bonding with industry and institute, for example, as a case study, these slides will tell you about the case study, what's happening in the Anna University. Cognition technology has helped in establishing a computer simulation lab. It is not that a lab cannot be developed in Anna University. Very recently, Anna University, based on this H index of 86, DST has given 34 crore rupees. Sometimes செலவு பண்றதுக்கு முடியாத இருக்கும் நமக்கு, அந்த அளவுக்கு பணம் இருக்கு. It is not that money that matters, it is the bondage that matters, it is the spirit that matters, it is the collaboration that matters. In that, keeping in mind, Cognizant established this one. Under Wipro, Faculty Development Exchange Program, Mission 10X. They were so strict during that process. 5 நிமிஷம் 10 நிமிஷம் லேட்டாக வந்தாலும் they never used to allow. In between, எனக்கு லேப் இருக்கு, எனக்கு விசி கூப்பிடுறாரு அப்படின்னா they say no sir, it's not possible. If you are come regularly, please come. அந்த அளவுக்கு ஸ்ட்ரிக்டாக நல்லா பண்ணாங்க Wipro Mission 10X program. Accenture, we have a formal MOU. They have created a facility, innovation center. And TCS, we had a very good relationship with this. Mr. Padmanabhan, Mr. Patavi is here. Okay, we have a very good relation with the TCS. A tailor-made MTech program was offered to TCS employees through our Anna University. These are some kind of typical activities what we can do through industry. A mini auditorium for placement purposes was funded by this CTS. Under industry associations, keep a nominal amount is charged for the industry to become a member of that, and all the facilities, whether the e-resources or the infrastructure, is thrown open to the industry to utilize that kind of facility for mutual benefit. And then we have in the decision-making process of the university also, we very fondly welcome the industry people to take part in that. To highlight about the TCS consultancy activities, these are some of the things like industrial visits, workshops, PhD scholarship. They give around 25,000 rupees for each PhD scholar. A contingency amount of 1 lakh for the PhD scholar per year. If the guide is also planning to present a paper, a combined paper, the guide is given a full payment, registration fee, not only India, abroad. So that's a very great gesture of the industry. And I think we have to look into that kind of collaboration. And the sponsorship for the student competitions, not only in terms of money, but also in terms of the skills for conducting a workshop, conducting a tutorial. Yes, we can utilize that facility. Soft skill development, and then best student project award. If the industry sponsors that kind of award. Best outgoing student. These are some of the activities formally we are going through TCS. You can see here Pattaviramanga, yaar kullama irukko avarudhaan Pattaviramanga, and the photo la parunga. And pinadi you can see Simon is a great speaker. This is a TCS award, and that side it is a project award. Ramkumar also you can see. Then Accenture we have inaugurated recently. During the Accenture we have her name is Preeti Ramachandran. She is also actually a biotech student. She has grown to the level of managing director, and with the help of that alumni, with the help of our bondage, we could establish a facility with Accenture. And this innovation facility is used for giving a value addition programs like ERP program and online tests for mock online tests to keep the students ready for employment. Head Start Foundation program. Once the students are selected, before they are taken on board, some kind of training is given for 4 weeks. This facility is used for that purpose, and the resource persons from Accenture, they come here and conduct this program. With the help of a Cognizant, you can see some workshops, group discussions that are being done free of cost for the needy students. These are some of the case studies I can tell, and this is the product development. This is very unique in this part of the globe, where a microsatellite in association with ISRO has been launched, unmanned aerial vehicle which has been used effectively in the recently for the flood situation when one of the employees was, there was a mishap, and to identify the culprit, this was very effectively used by Tamil Nadu government. We have an MOU with Tamil Nadu government. They have sanctioned on 1 crore. We are going ahead with multiple products, a hilarious skit. So these are some kind of technology development and transfer. Our Vice Chancellor used to say R and D and C, research, development, and C for commercialization. That can be looked into in case of industry institute partnership. This is a state level placement. As an affiliating university, we also help shake hand with the affiliating institutions to help in state level placement. And this is about the other kind of partnerships where we attend in the placement officers meet and give our input, take their inputs and fine tune so that the gap is bridged. This is what I wanted to spend about the case study. In another 2 minutes, I will wind up with what is the action plan we can think of. So this gives a dice, symbolically tells a dice போட்ட பிறகு தாயக்கட்டை போட்ட பிறகு என்ன நம்பர் வருதுன்னு தெரியாது. So that kind of view still there in small institutions which are remotely placed. I am sure this action plan will be of some use. I have categorized it into short term action plan, medium term action plan and long term action plan. In the short term action plan, a structured way of arranging, please mark my point, a structured way of arranging industrial visit, in-plant training, internship with stipend, without stipend, a project internship for UG/PG students leading to some credits for them, industry-oriented projects for UG/PG students, and then the placement. A structured way in the sense there must be a timetable, a schedule. Today, this branch is going for this industrial visit. So-and-so is coordinating from this end, so-and-so is coordinating from that end. This kind of short-term plan, and the inherently present in the curriculum design. These things should be present in the curriculum design. We have to modify the curriculum, give such that there is a credit for industrial visit, there is a credit for in-plant training, there is a credit for internship. Very recently, Anna University taken that bold step, and we have introduced the credits for that. Concession for industries who participate in the above activities. Maybe we can represent to Tamil Nadu government telling that this particular industry is helping the institute in these activities. If you are giving some subsidy, if you are giving some financial assistance, some kind of special reservation in this special economic zone, we can always represent to government and tell that this is an industry whom you can recommend for that. In terms of medium term plans, member from industry in the purchase committee. You may laugh at me, but most of the times the specifications cannot be just like that bolt. I am a professor automation. For a typical DCS, I find it so difficult to identify a typical spec. What we draw with the schematic on a board, notice board is different. But when you want to have a typical industrial kind of setup, we need the input from industry, and we can involve them in finalizing specifications. Member from industry for board of studies, member from industry in academic council, member from industry in still more higher apex body like syndicate, senate, and board of governors. And then member from industry as an examiner for valuing our project work, member from industry for a doctoral committee member to review our PhD work, and be an examiner for PhD viva-voce. Those who are eligible, they can have this. In terms of long-term plan, we can identify a coordinator from each department to carry out the industry institute activity, allocate exclusive funds for every department exclusively for this kind of activity, and then signing a formal MOU, not only with industry, but also like agencies like CII, INDMA, TANSIA, FICCI, AIMA, sharing of e-resources and other infrastructures, conducting job fairs and campus connect programs, establishing technology incubation center, somebody was pointing out in the last speech, creating a bank of innovative ideas, conducting industry meet, highlighting what is my capability by bringing everybody to our college, and then we can have the bridging of the gap between the industry and institute, an exhibition, an open house, a joint proposal submitting to funding agency, AICTE, DIT, they encourage this. The partner can be from industry. So these are some of the activities I thought I could share with you. A joint supervisor for PhD, encouraging investments under venture capitals, conduct of conferences, conduct of training programs, and technology transfer, faculty exchange under sabbatical, and many more, ladies and gentlemen. This is what I wanted to share. I hope I finished in 15 minutes. Thank you very much for patient hearing. I only conclude by recalling the fine words of Francis Bacon. It is not what we eat that makes us strong, it is what we digest that makes us strong. It is not what we read that makes us knowledgeable, it is what we understand that makes us knowledgeable. And it is not what we earn that makes us rich, it is what we save that makes us rich. And finally he says, it is not what we preach in forums like this that makes us true professional, it is what we practice that makes us true professional. Let us practice what we preach in forums like this. Karka kasadara karpavai katrapin nirka adarkitaga. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, the organizers, for giving me an excellent opportunity. Most of the points I covered are all there in your minds, but when you have to recall that, Professor Sadiq, Vice Chancellor of Madras University, used to tell, இட்லி டெய்லி தான் சாப்பிட்றோம், வெறுக்க மாட்டோம் இட்லியை, டெய்லி தான் இதை பற்றி பேசுகிறோம். பட் in a forum like this, if you keep on talking in a structured manner, definitely there will be a impact, and it will enter into our non-volatile memory. Even power switches off, it will be in our mind. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Now may I request the young, energetic and enthusiastic Vice President of VIT University, Mr. Shekhar Viswanathan. The theme is again successful SSIP models, case studies and action plans.
Good morning, everybody. It's a wonderful presentation by Anna University, Professor Thiagarajan. I feel very humble going after Professor Thiagarajan's presentation. Anna University is one of the top universities of the country. Has been there for more than 2 centuries, producing some of the finest engineers of this country. So let me briefly, we are only 30 years old compared to Anna University. We are like a small baby. So we have had quite some success in the industry institute partnership area. Let me cover a few of them, and I'll mind the time. First, let me go over the conventional initiatives which we have heard upon a lot. As was pointed out, the relationship should go beyond placements. Usually when we think of industrial partnerships, we just think of placements, but as was pointed out, placement is just one aspect of the relationship you develop. As Dr. Pattabhiraman was mentioning in the earlier session, the companies, what they look for in the institutions is not just the output. They look at the input, they look at the process. When they say process, it's not just an accreditation process, right? They look at the people. Who are the faculty members? What is the management? How is the commitment, etc. So it's a lot more than placements. That's the point I wanted to mention. As the traditional industrial participation in various bodies of the university. Many of you come from engineering colleges. Probably you do not have the liberty we universities have, but still, as engineering college, you could find innovative ways of getting the industry representatives in your various advisory councils. So we do in our advisory academic council, research council, the board of studies of each department, the traditional guest lecture, and we have a TIFAC core center funded by the government and the industry. It gives an excellent opportunity for the industry to come to our center. In our TIFAC core, automotive infotronics is the focus. So we get a lot of auto industries and the electronics industries to come and give us ideas on various projects. I don't know how many of you saw the news item. Couple of days ago, we had this press conference where two girl students from Andhra Pradesh who did their project in our TIFAC core center. This project is a communication project, in-vehicle communication project, whether it's train or long-distance buses, where the passengers can get different types of services using their cell phone, Wi-Fi, GPS, etc. It's a very simple project. The best part about the project is that the students have got a US patent on this project. So what's going to happen is, this is with effect from 2011, anybody who uses that technology will have to pay these two students. These are young students who, it's amazing what these students can achieve if you give them the right platform, if you give them the right encouragement. It's really amazing. So again, all these ideas come from industry mainly. So we need to, most of you here are representing the education institutions. The key thing for you to survive is to partner with industries. I use the word survive because the survival is going to depend on the partnership with industries. So of course, the technology business incubator is another area where you get funds from the government and you get partnership with industries where you can fund some of the wonderful ideas of entrepreneurship of the students. And we have various tech fests, the technology festivals or management festivals. We get sponsorships and partnerships. And that's about the conventional part. Now I'm going to talk about some of the unique initiatives we do at VIT. So we do a lot of technology innovation. One of the most popular ones among the students is the hackathons. You might have heard about them. What happens is the industry provides a list of problems to us which they want us to solve. So we get students in one place, about 30 to 50 teams, each team consisting of 3 to 4 students. So they are all working on those problems continuously, round the clock for 24 to 48 hours. So they are all put in big gallery halls, given the problems. They come up with solutions. They develop even small models, software-based models at that point, continuous. It's called hackathons. It has become very popular among our students that, there's a huge rush to participate in these hackathons. So this innovative exercise, later results in hardware and software which we can develop later. But the point is you get them together in one place and give them problems, they do magic. So we have something called as Creation Lab at VIT. So it's like an open lab. We have given 2 or 3 floors of space to them. There is no department Why segregation? Anybody can collaborate with anybody. They are given problems, they are given funding, they come up with solutions. You just do it, you will see magic happen. No rules. Freedom to innovate. That's the mantra. If you give them freedom to innovate, freedom to think, they do wonders. So this has been a successful venture for us. Honeywell company has been sponsoring some of our hackathons. They have come and given our problems. And once we select the ideas, they get funding from the companies also, and then they take about 6 months to develop the product. Similar hackathons, we have done it with US partners, the MIT, the Massachusetts General Hospital, and Harvard. They have been working with us and with a couple of other universities around the globe. So in this is more about healthcare practitioners. So they from the Massachusetts General Hospital, they come, and ours is not a medical college, but we have students from engineering who solve some best biomedical issues. So they mentor our students from MIT. So when they come here, again, they go through a similar process. They call it hacking medicine in their parlance, and it has been very useful. I mean, for example, one of our students came up with a solution where, how the patients use the oxygen mask. Many of the serious patients, they use oxygen mask. And when the doctors come and converse with them, they have to remove the oxygen mask to talk. So our student came up with an idea where, without removing the mask, there's like a device which the student has come up with, which will amplify the voice. It's like a regular system of microphone and speaker, but then the idea is innovative, so it's of great help to patients now. That fellow has patented this idea in collaboration with Massachusetts General Hospital, and he's going to get tons of money once MGH starts making a product out of it. So such simple ideas come from students, and again, similar concept. Let me just quickly go over this. And institutions like, industries like Biocon, GE Healthcare, and Narayana Hospital from Bangalore, they're all collaborating with us to develop some of the medical devices. And this is another initiative, workforce development. There's a strong need in the industry. Okay, so I will wind up in another 5 minutes. We offer certificate and degree programs for industry, which helps us understand what the industry needs are, and then help them resolve them. And Wipro is one of our partner in that. And the other thing which I wanted to touch upon is the international relationship. Our students do international projects. So companies like Cisco and Honeywell, which require partners from, which require employees in their home countries, they recruit here and then send them there. And then the other point which I wanted to touch upon is the research collaboration. Many of the funding for our projects come from industry. So these are all multi-year projects. Companies like Piramal, Cummins Engines are helpful. And like what we covered earlier, some of the labs from Cisco, Microsoft, IBM, Motorola are all there. So these are some of the ideas which I wanted to share with you. If there is a will, there is a way. All I ask for you is to have an open mind, because I feel many a times academicians are too proud to go and talk to industrialists, and industrialists do not have the time, do not have the confidence in academia. This gap needs to be addressed here. So that's why we are all here. I thank everybody for giving me this opportunity.
That was very, very crisp. Like Vibgr, you want to remember this highlights of his talk. You remember HIP, H-I-P, HIP. H for, can somebody tell me? Hackathon. And I for innovation, freedom to innovate. And P for partnership, it is the order of the day. If institute has to survive, very politely, humbly, modestly he told, that is the order of the day. If an institute has to survive, it has to go and embrace, pattabhisara udakudade. We have to embrace, that is the order of the day. And that is what I want. And the patent, it's very, very interesting, sir. US patent means that is very interesting. Thank you very much. Now may I call upon Mr. Thyagu Valliyappa, the Executive Director, Sona Valliyappa Group, Vice Chairman, Sona Group.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hello. Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. Tyagarajan's on the stage. Dr. Tyagarajan, as well as Tyagarajan College of Technology, principal from Tyagarajan College of Technology, as well as me. There are so many Tyagarajan's, as well as Mr. Shekhar, Dr. Kumar, and Dr. Rajiv, Mr. Rajiv. I'm happy to be here today. Let me start by saying this, because there are two things I bring to the table. One is from the industry and other is from the institution. It all dates back to the 1950s, when my great-grandfather, Karmu Tyagaraja Chettiar, actually had the vision. Actually had not the vision, but vision with a need. At that point of time, 1950s, just after independence, there was a huge shortage of manpower, especially technical manpower. So he started these three major focused thrust areas. One was on textile technology, another was on civil engineering because of buildings, and the third was mechanical engineering because of the lack of fitters that you could get for textile. So our whole group, let it be the Tyagaraja College, or Tyagaraja Polytechnic, or the Sona College in the recent years, has been the focus of Karmu Tyagaraja Chettiar. So I'm happy to be here. I think we've heard there's a lot of mismatch in terms of what the industry is doing, what the education institutes are doing, but then what really is the focus of the day is industry to connect with institution. I'm happy to be here again saying that from Bangalore Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which I am the Vice President, I've actually brought in a similar platform called the 3I, Industry Institute Interface, which we had our Cisco Anil Menon opening just about 6 months ago. So this platform is also going to be working with the Bangalore University, and we intend to do a lot more programs like this. So just taking back, Sona College of Technology is about 17 years old in terms of students passed out. We are about 13, 14 years in students passed out. And it is basically one of the youngest institutions which competes with universities, and we are a self-supporting college. And we are amongst the top 25 in the country today. Because what we find is there are two areas to this. One is internal and other is external. The internal part of it, I would talk about it in terms of teaching learning process, which we have really reinvented in the last 6 months. Because what we really said is there is a student and there is a teacher. The teacher is teaching, the student is learning. It is like going to a doctor and saying that everybody take course in medicine. So you have different people coming for different problems. Same is the learning skills. Each person has different learning skills. You just cannot have one size fits all kind of education system. So taking this into factors, we've started bucketing in terms of expertise, leadership quality, research, as well as as well as the people below average. So with these few words, I'd like to start by doing a small presentation which we have prepared in terms of college. We had basically put this together. One thing which no one can take from our group is Gandhi himself looking at innovating himself being an Indian. He was in my great-grandfather's house. He had actually changed from Gujarati attire to a common man's attire. That is where he actually just started wearing the simplicity of his clothes. This is in of course, everybody knows it's 251A West Masi Street in Madurai in 1921, 22nd of September. This is where the Gandhi himself changed himself. Coming back to something of Tyagaraja Polytechnic, which is where we started off, and we take great pride in saying it is amongst the best polytechnics in the country. Started off in 1958 by none other than Sri Rajaji himself. The Silver Jubilee was, we had Dr. Venkatraman come in for the inauguration as well as the Silver Jubilee as the President of India, as the Vice President of India. The Golden Jubilee was just about 4 or 5 years ago. We had Dr. Kalam himself. And the Best Polytechnic Award in 2010. And recently we've bagged the Best Principal Award for Tyagaraja Polytechnic itself again. So these are something I think we're running lack of time, so I wouldn't like to get into each one specifically, but these I'm sure you're going to have this presentation with you as well. But these are all achievements which has been not in one day or 1 year, it was done over the 55 years of our educational presence. The methodology, as I already pointed out, is again something that we take pride in because of our expertise in terms of our interest in terms of being involved with the industry associations. Our founder chairman, my father, the chairman, has been the past president of most of the chambers in Bangalore. I represent ASSOCHAM in the center, actually the vice president of Bangalore Chamber, as well as Manufacturing Chamber and CII. So what we like to connect is the industry-institute interface. This is, if you really look at special coaching or guest lecturers, innovative coaching that is through, I think many speakers spoke in the first session as well. Why don't you have classes from Bangalore to Salem? We are trying to do that now. So we're trying to have interviews being done that way. We're trying to, there's one aspect we probably need to relook at. Maybe we could even relook at the second shift of education would do a great deal for industry-institute interface. If this is done, you will have a lot more people available in terms of evening, especially for manufacturing sector. It may not be as much for the IT sector, but for the manufacturing sector, people could actually be available after 5:30 in the evening till about 7:30, 8 o'clock. I think this really needs to be relooked at. Then, of course, we have the Board of Studies, like all of us do, and actually we have major projects which happens. I'll be talking about that in the next few slides. Learning Resources Center, need-based program, that is CIICP. The CIICP is something which we started in 1992-93. That is the Canada-India program for polytechnics. So this is where our skill development started. Today you have skills which has been talked about almost in every single platform. But we believe in the 3 H's, that is the head, heart and hand. It's not only the hand, it's the head which you need to start with, because once you have your mindset, you can learn anything that your heart and hand wants to move forward with. So I think the experience in skill development, 20-25 years now, embraces industry. Again, I would like to talk about it in the future slides. National level technical symposium, something we conduct every year. Faculty staff development, pedagogy, that is something we're really focusing now on. And this is again a huge area of expertise, because yes, we follow the norms of the system, but then are the teachers really capable enough to cope with the student who is so actually involved with technology? Is the teachers really involved with technology? Is the teachers really involved with today? That is a question which many of us have to ask. Are all our teachers involved, or is it only a percentage of our teachers? This is probably a very, very important thing which all of us, I'm sure, will have to address. This is something, again, our community polytechnic, which we do a lot of work in the city of Salem, basically to focus on our CSR activities, where we are focusing a lot on. Yeah, just given 5 minutes, I'll just run through. So these are the some of the companies that we work with. I think I'd like to play this video. I'd like to play 3 videos if I with the permission of the chair. This is Mr. Ponnappa from.
0.8 million people are job oriented, and they have the job orientation who can readily be deployed by the companies. Balance about 10 million people will have to pass through a finishing school, and the Polytechnic College, after decades, has created in me and has taken me down the memory lane where I was a student once upon a time. It was decades back, of course. Every year, it is astonishing that 12.8 million people come into the job market. You youngsters, you are one among that 12.8 million. It is said that, or it is estimated that about 2.8 million people are job oriented, and the 12.8 million people come come into the job market, have the job orientation who can readily be deployed by the companies. Balance about 10 million people will have to pass through a finishing school, and this finishing school is going to cost money to the organization. All the academic institutions in India are really good. The inputs of concepts, the theories are really good. Only a bit of job orientation would provide further focus.
Yeah, this was basically Mr. Ponnappa, Vice President ERM from TVS Motor Works. We make sure that we only invite people who make a difference to us, not just because he's available, because this is where our focus is, to get in manufacturing. Manufacturing is a big cost for us. I'm sure it's IT sector is doing really well, but manufacturing focus is long pending, and we need to really look at it. MS Choklingam Shettiar, my grandfather started the Sona College of Technology at the age of 89, and this is my brother and me run this college with the guidance of my father, Mr. Valyappa. This is a quick inroads into Sona. I'm just going to be playing each slide for 5 seconds so that, we run through. Yeah, this is another program which we're really trying to innovate in terms of R&D, in terms of continuous education. Syracuse University is tied up with Sona College of Technology for a twinning program on MS degree for computer engineering. This again is going to be giving you the best of two worlds. You're going to be learning in the US for 1 year and learning in India for 1 year. You get a Syracuse University degree. These kind of programs should be supported because this is what is going to change the dynamics of a student today. This would make it a much more cost-effective, much more focused, best of both worlds kind of a program, which would actually make a student grow much faster. I would request more support from this kind of programs, even from various organizations like our AICTE, as well as other bodies which govern education institutes today. This is what I think we're here for. We were actually awarded the CII, Technical Institute, Best Industry Linked Technical Education Institute. So this is something we take pride in, and we actually got Human HRD Minister giving us this award. Best Engineering College in the country 2011, ISTE, New Delhi. Entrepreneurs Award 2013 to our chairman. CIE, this is Competitive Review, CSR Award, Competitive Success Review. These are some of the ranks that we've got and placements that we've got. But more, this is something which we did about 3 years ago, our brushless motors with ISRO. This was something on our research and development, which is applied research. This is, as of now, it's up in the skies. It's up in this satellite. This is some of the pride that we take because we want to make sure that applied research is more focused. Applied research is more innovative as well as cost effective, because this is where we should make a difference. Otherwise, being a college of excellence or focus doesn't really matter if you don't make a difference to every person or whoever works with us on an everyday basis. So this is our core objective, to make a difference, and we have made it to as high as satellite. So we look ourselves to be this is something which we take pride in about 4 or 5 years ago. This kind of appreciation is something that not many can really everybody will be proud of. Again, ocean technology, we also have ocean technology, we've created brushless motors for submarines. This is again, so we say we are up there as well as down to earth. This is again an Accenture Innovative Award, Nishant. Again, everyone focuses on marks. This person, if he had focused on marks, he wouldn't have gotten to Sona College of Technology. He was just an average student, but he had about 7 patents when he joined us, when he became a student of Sona. He went for 6,600 competitors in an innovative jockey, which was organized by Accenture, and he came first. So he was awarded this Accenture Jockey Award, and he was sent free of cost to the US just about a couple of months ago. And here he is. He looks like Bill Gates. Probably we have the next Bill Gates coming up. But then, this is what we need to think out of the box. Again, our students are very well connected with the motor car industry as well as the manufacturing industry. They take part in various programs. They have won for design as well as structure, they won many awards. This is Grain Mind Challenge. This is what we do in terms of our associations with the industry. Patents, of course, we have number of patents which are trying to make it even more further, trying to look at using these patents. We have about 50 PhDs in our college as of now, and in the next 3-4 months, probably have another 25 of them coming up as well. Salem is really not a city for industry, or is really not an IT city. But then we managed to do this, being 200 kilometers from Bangalore, 300 kilometers from Chennai, because of our thinking process. Salem is probably, after Madurai, probably a city which is evolving. And Sona and Tyagaraja Polytechnic has played a great role in bringing up the city, as well as bringing in the airports and bringing in connectivity. And it is a process which is just started. We expect to do a lot more for the city of Salem. That is our CSR activities. These are some of the companies that we work with. We have training schools as well as various tie-ups with them. I think we are running short of time, so I'd really like to move it forward. Can you just play this video? I just like to play this video because means a lot to us.
Let me start by saying there are two things that I wish for you. The first one, and I know you're coming from engineering, you're coming from management, and you're also coming from MCA and the polytechnic schools and the others. But the first and the most important thing that you should always think when you pick a job, when you think about your promotion, when you think about your next job, when you think about your next 20 years of what you're going to do, think about how am I going to be more relevant in this world. It is not whether you're going to make more money, because you will. It is not whether you're going to become more famous, because you will. You will become that if you become more relevant to this world. So the second thing I would tell you is that the most important thing that all of you have to develop is not only a self-confidence that you can do what you need to do, but you need to become globally aware. It is not that you need to go outside of India. It is not that you need to go outside of Tamil Nadu. It's not whether you need to leave outside of Bangalore or the company or the area where you're in, but you need to become more globally aware of what is happening in the world, what problems exist in the world, and what are you going to do in your small area to make a difference and to become relevant to the globally aware place.
I think this is something, can you just play the next speech, Dr. Abdul Kalam? This is something which actually, this as well as Dr. Abdul Kalam, who was there, he said, you need to look at yourself, not big but small, and try and take baby steps towards. Okay,
Fantastic presentation by Shahul. Let us give a loud applause for his.
Sure, I think for lack of time, I think I'll stop. I had a lot more, but then anyway, thank you for being here.
Yeah. Presentation you have taken. It's a very good presentation. Of course, he highlighted most of his institutional activities and then blended up rightly without deviating from the topic, that is the theme. I can only say, like a VIPGR, fitness is the word we can put it for Thiagu. FI is for finishing school, T for twinning program, NE for need-based education, and S for skill development. That is the crux of his talk. Let us give a loud applause for his presentation. I'm sorry about the time. Yeah, we have two more speakers. And I request another young and energetic principal of Tyagaraja College of Engineering, Abhay Kumar, who made, young in the thoughts, who made pioneering efforts down south. Let us welcome him with a loud applause. Abhay Kumar, sir.
Good afternoon. I am going to share some of the experiences that we had in evolving an incubation company within the campus. So this would really be the focus of this particular presentation. Now, in industry institute interaction, first I will talk about industry to institute. Now, from the industry, there are many avenues. I am coming from a engineering college setup, so I am sure these are some things which all of you could really practice. If you are already practicing, it's fine. If it is not, if we can, I think you also can. So one is the curriculum development. Now, in terms of curriculum development, the university, then the autonomous institutions have got slightly better advantage, but then even otherwise, you could still think about it. Now, we have a TVS TCE co-created curriculum itself as an autonomous institute. The entire mechanical engineering and electrical engineering curriculum has been coined by the experts from both. But what other innovation that we have done is the one credit courses that we introduced. We have requested the companies to come on a weekend to teach 14 hours on a particular subject, which is probably not exactly in the conventional curriculum, but this is a sort of beyond curriculum exercises. And people talked about guest lectures also in a non-autonomous institution that could really be made. Industry visit is what traditionally now in all engineering colleges, this is more or less has become a picnic. Any visit that they go is only for visiting a place, and then in the process visit some industries as well. But then there could really be some inspiring industries where if they just go, they will really get motivated. Then faculty visits. Faculty could also be, this can be done by any engineering college. Recently we had sent about 30 faculty members to TCS, and TCS gave us a training inside, and then they gave lectures on some specific topics. And we also had local industries like TAFE, we visited TAFE. Supporting staff also we made them to visit. We had got some tractors from them, and then servicing the tractors, etc. was taught by TAFE people to our own supporting staff. Then there is career guidance. This is another thing that is very much important, which could really be done by industries, because whatever as Tyagarajan sir was mentioning, if we tell it, like if parents tell it, people listen little, then if teachers tell, little better, but if seniors tell, very, very good. The message that is coming from industry will really be taken up by the students much better. So we had conducted some road shows by TCS, CTS and other companies, and some of our alumni also played. Throughout my presentation, 4 or 5 slides, all through I am going to tell you that faculty and alumni are the people who will really drive the idea of industry-institute interaction. Alumni need to play a vital role in this. Alumni from industries come and talk to the students on the need to work in a core area, the future of the industry. Some of the data today morning, Pattabhiraman sir and others gave were phenomenal. These are things which has to be told to a first year student so that he really plans himself better. Then training and internship, obviously this is something that everybody does. We have facilitated in our college on the 8th semester, all 3 courses and 3 projects. These 3 courses could be really done in 5, 6 and 7. So in the 8th semester fully they are free to go to the industry. So that way about on an average 250 students per year go to the industries to work for a project. And interestingly we did an experiment with faculty internships. We sent faculty members to various industries. One faculty who went to Honeywell identified a problem and then did a project and a PhD in that area itself. So that way motion detection and tracking was identified as a thrust area for the image processing group. Then from institute, it is not that always industry need to do something to us. Institute could also do something to them. One experiment that we did, because we have Honeywell in our campus, about 700 employees of Honeywell are working on home automation and avionics on their work. But then since they are in the campus, we allow them to share our infrastructure, starting from the anechoic chamber to the library facilities we have allowed. That could really be, now we are trying to talk to the local industries to see that whether they can share. by allowing them to share on a cost basis or on a free basis, we could really get more problems which can lead to subsequently the testing or consultancy. So that's one experiment that we did with Honeywell. We understood that they were trying to test used engine oils, and then they were trying to test it with an RF facility. We have been doing RF for quite some time. We were talking about antennas, communication, etc. We never realized that an engine oil could be tested with RF equipment. So from there, we have moved to the other directions. Then obviously the collaborative projects. Collaborative projects with the industries are pretty tough to get. But then if only the faculty members have done research and they do continue to work in that area, then industries are very happy to give us projects. In the recent past, we had the cloud security coming up as a big area. Nokia, Yahoo, Nokia and Yahoo gave us project on cloud security. Amada wanted to do some work on sheet metal, some professor was working in that area, they gave a project. Likewise, there are areas which can be driven through the faculty expertise. Then the testing. Now, there are traditionally many institutions do have test facilities and then testing. Now, our college had civil engineering test facilities for quite some time. We had electrical engineering doing energy auditing work for quite some time. But my suggestion to all the colleges is that if you're a young college, then probably you need to really start looking at the opportunities for testing, because this is one area where a lot of local industries are really longing for. They go to, from Madurai, they come all the way to Chennai or to Bangalore to do some simple testing, typically EMI/EMC testing like. So if only we are able to plan our laboratory facilities which can cater to testing also, then that can lead us to some income, and then some way you could also lead to consultancy work. We invested something into RF facilities. We are currently investing into batteries and the like, and we are also looking at environmental engineering as an opportunity, and then these labs will ultimately be certified also. We have already ventured into NABL certification of one particular lab. We are in the final stages of that. So these are some investments that we could really make, and these investments is not just for outside alone. Students also can be made to use these facilities. And then testing naturally leads to consultancy. We had Infosys coming and giving their wireless boards to get tested. While it was being tested, they said, can you design this antenna, which we have been buying it from outside. Now we started designing an antenna also. Likewise, one leads to the other. And finally, as teachers, we have not really realized or utilized our expertise to train the industry personnel. This is something that the institutes like College of Engineering, Guindy have been doing it for quite some time. IIT has got a lot more. We took inspiration out of that, and then we started really having sort of a in-house training mechanism. Now, few areas we have really ventured, and then now recent past in electromagnetics and antennas. This is one area in which I work, so I quote that often. We went and did training for Motorola in their campus. We did train Honeywell. We came to Madras for training Atmel, and there seems to be plenty of requirements in the companies for academic expertise. I went and taught them just electromagnetics. There were a lot of people who said that, which we forgot, or we found that very difficult when I was doing my undergraduate course. They were very keen. So these sort of opportunities are pretty much there for all of us. Then next is the technology transfer. Can we really do technology transfer? It has been done by many of the IITs. So for a non-university, non-IIT institution, we ventured into that. So what we did, we chose theme areas for every department. Every department has got a theme area. These theme areas were based on the technology trends, the expertise that we had, the direction in which we wanted to grow. So like civil engineering has eco-friendly structures, mechanical automation, electrical engineering, power and energy, electronics, wireless, then computer science, knowledge engineering, mathematics, modeling, physics on materials, chemistry on green chemistry. That way we chose the theme areas. We had also special interest groups under that. Those who did PhD, those who are pursuing PhD, masters and undergraduate students were grouped. We call it as special interest groups, similar to the verticals in the corporate. So this is one initiative that we did. Then we built an advanced research center in the campus, Tyagarajan Advanced Research Center, and then we invested into 4 labs. one on the batteries, one on the vision, one on signal processing, one on RF. And then these were really given thrust, and then few additional labs are in the pipeline. Then we also got a TIFA core in wireless technologies. Again, we created a ecosystem such a way that we brought in some companies, we brought in the government fund. So totally we had about 7 crore rupees out of the interaction that we had with lots of companies. We wrote a cookbook for ADS software, Agilent ADS software, which led to the Agilent CEO giving us 15 suites of ADS software free of cost. So totally we had a funding, and then we built an infrastructure which had capability to model, analyze, optimize, fabricate, and test in RF. So that is a facility that we created. Now from that facility, we went into incubate a company. We incubated a company, we recruited people, and then we utilized these facilities, and we paid for these facilities. And then now recently we opened an office in Bangalore also. This company is called as Tyagaraja Telecom Solutions. And then we recently designed the ground segment antenna for the IRNSS satellite, which was launched, and we have indigenized some of the BrahMos seeker antennas as well. All that based on what we researched, and then what we gave as master's work, and so on. And then this is something, and we also did an open house. This is interesting. I think every college, wherever you are, you could definitely try this. We organized this open house 3 years back. As many as 60 companies came. We never realized that those companies needed something that we have been doing. We had one company which is a floor mill. He just came and then asked us to give us support on the ISO related activities, quality initiatives. Then TVS Interconnect was there. He came and said that we wanted to really test some antennas. So all these things in and around us, there are people who are really requiring this. So this is the approach that I am talking about. So one is obviously need of a common man or need of an industry need to be really understood. Everywhere it will be invariably low cost, small size, or efficient. This is, I am talking about wireless, but anywhere, any product, this is a requirement. Low cost, same efficiency, small size. This is typical. Then you can choose a theme area. You can have an area of interest. Then you can have training and internship in industry. You can send faculty members in that area to industries and work on. Academic research also can be in the same area, teach in the same area, and then do sponsor projects. So next to, obviously, I will skip this, and then curriculum also I don't want. So infrastructure, create an infrastructure which complements industry needs. No industry wants, in RF industry, no medium scale industry would like to buy a network analyzer which costs around 40 lakhs to 60 lakhs for one measurements. So we invested into that, and then we bought that. So obviously the needs of that industry could really be addressed. We get people from Mysore, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad coming and testing their equipment in our place. We also looked at consultancy initially. Initially consultancy, we didn't know the hardware, but we thought we can really do it in simulation. So we bought these simulation tools, whatever simulation tools which are industry requirements, we bought it. And we introduced experiments for the students in those areas also. So parallelly, there will be a student requirement met, there will be industry requirement looked at. And then we created testing facilities. As I said, we have an anechoic chamber. Probably in all of India, if I am right, we have the one of its kind an active antenna measurements. Passive antenna measurements, there are few, but then active antenna measurements, we are the only one. We have recently started an EMI/EMC initiative also. We brought in a consultant who is very good in Bangalore, and then asked them, now if I have a EMI/EMC center here, how many people in, what type of industries would be of requirements? He gave something which was, container industries would require EMI/EMC testing if they want to send it to Europe, I suppose. So then only we realize, okay, we can really broad base this into that. And then obviously student projects also, I said. So finally, this is the idea to product. So obviously, we started with planar transmission lines to planar antennas, those transmission lines. And then we talked about technologies. This is what has been the contribution from the student and staff of this college. We worked on metamaterials for the MTech project, and then PhD work on AMC, artificial magnetic conductors and magnetodielectrics, which are current. And then we started interfacing with some of the industries. Rogers Corporation is some industry which has got substrates being made for all over the world. And its vice president hails from Madurai. We came across that very recently when we invited him here, and then we said that this is some work which we would really support in future. Then we worked on something, and then we patented it. Recently we obtained a patent, US patent for devices and methods for phase shifting in a base station antenna. And then this company now has got design, testing, and we recently opened a training facility also, so that faculty members' expertise could also be used. And such an incubation, now I am trying to promote it with all other departments. There are, every department has got faculty members who have done some work which are really usable and converted into products, or at least given as a training mechanism. So maybe we will definitely see 3 or 4 from one end from electrical engineering, one from civil and one from mechanical. We have already identified some areas as well. I am sure in future we would have more incubations, and I am sure if we can do it, you all can do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. You are a typical professor. Without a reminder, you have closed the show in time. Friends, a lot of points he has covered. I think some of them is magnanimous to share. The career guidance, the open house conduction, 1 credit course that is very unique. I have seen in PhD also, in even our university we have started. Thrust area identification, training not for students, for staff, both teaching as well as non-teaching, and for the industry people doing the training here. Technology transfer, alumni involvement, Advanced Research Institute development. You can always remember by a word quota, C-O-T-A, quota for Mr. Abhay Kumar, C for career guidance, O for open house 1 credit course, T for thrust area training and technology transfer, A for alumni involvement and advanced research. Thank you very much, Dr. Abhay Kumar. Now the organizers very aptly selected the 5 people, one from autonomous institute, one from university, one from 2 from educational institutions, and one from industry. They kept the industry person last because he is the most important person. Let us welcome Mr. Rajiv Bhatnagar with a loud applaud, the Vice President, Head HR for Larsen and Toubro.
Respected Dr. Tyagarajan, Mr. Shekhar Vishwanathan, Mr. Thyagu Valiyappan, Professor Abhay Kumar, and my dear friends who are there here. I am from industry, as Dr. Tyagarajan pointed out, so you will have a different flavor in my talk. It's more extempore, more judgmental, and a little freehand. Second thing is, I am not so much into IT. A lot of speakers talked about IT, TCS, Wipro, hacking and things like that. I am from a brick and mortar company, which is Larsen and Toubro, L&T. And I am from that part of L&T which is into construction. I'll take half a minute to tell you about my industry because it sets the context to what specific case I am going to talk about. L&T Construction is obviously into construction, and we construct everything. We are the largest construction company in India, and way up somewhere around number 20 in the world. God willing, it will go up. Now in construction, as I said, we construct everything. If you want a building, some 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 story building, we'll do it for you. If you want a big factory, we'll do it for you. Ford factory here is done by L&T. If you want something to do in heavy civil, if you want a dam to be constructed from a hydroelectric dam, from a plain ground and a river, we can build a dam and a power station and give it to you. If you want a nuclear power plant, we can't do a complete nuclear power plant, but we can do good parts of it. And like that, metros, if you want, we can construct. Chennai Metro is partly being done by us. Delhi Metro was also to a great extent done by us. Transportation, we can lay railway tracks. We are doing a project in Rajasthan, putting a dedicated freight corridor across Rajasthan, something like 600 kilometers. And time frame is something like 36 months. So you have to get every day 3 kilometers of track laid with electrification and everything. Like that, we are into water and renewable energy. So water pipelines are in need of the day. So Hognikal is now coming in, water is coming Tamil Nadu from Hognikal. We are doing part of that job. In electrical also we have lot of transmission lines we are doing. Now the next FIFA games are going to be, I think, in Middle East, and we have got some contracts there, a 2,000 crore contract to put electrical supply for that particular area. So the idea here is to tell you that we are into hardcore construction, which actually involves working under the sun. There is no AC over there, and it involves quite difficult situations. So in this context, just to tell you, I'll be talking about only a single initiative, which is called L&T Build India Scholarship Scheme. It has been there for last 16 years. So what we do here is, we have joined together with IIT Madras and IIT Delhi, and every year we used to select at the beginning, 16 years back, about 40 engineers through an open advertisement and a selection test. All these 40 engineers who were selected jointly with IIT, they were put into an MTech program, half of them here, this very campus in Chennai, and half of them in Delhi in IIT Madras. So company financed the complete education, company paid the sponsorship to the IITs, and once the MTech was over, the company employed these particular engineers. So why would any company do like this? So what was the need actually? So I joined this company around 16, 17 years back when this program was started. The need was that projects are becoming larger and more complex today. A simple engineer was 16 years back also, company felt that a simple engineer out of the college, even if he has 20 years of experience, cannot handle that level of project management which is required. So in those days our cutoff was something like that we will not take projects of less than 5 crores. And the biggest project I remember 15 years we got was something like 1,600 crores, which was the Bombay-Pune Expressway, that is a highway. Now with time the complexity and sizes of projects are becoming difficult, and so we need managers, basically project managers. If you look at the IITs, the IIMs, what do they produce? They do not produce project managers. They will take engineers. Now most of the boys and girls going are engineers. They will produce a lot of marketing and finance people. They are fine. They can go and sell for the Unilever or for Hindustan Lever, now for Brook Bond. And it's a good area. We all enjoy quality life because of these products. They will go into finance. Many of them go to consultancies and abroad. But who comes to this type of area in construction where we work? So with this background, L&T decided that we must have our own program, which is a mix of MBA and construction technology. And this program was conceived 16 years back and started. So this basically was the need, that our projects are becoming larger and larger, and the existing engineers are not able to handle that. There were two visionaries behind this project. One was from the industry side, Dr. A. Ramakrishnan, who used to head construction group of L&T in those days, and Mr. V.S. Raju, who was from IIT Madras only, and then he went as director of IIT Delhi. It was conceived in a flight. They were traveling together, sitting side by side. So what actually you find was that industry was ready to invest a lot of money. It used to cost, each batch will cost us something like 1.5 crores in those particular days every year. So industry was ready to commit, and the IIT was also ready to commit its resources in terms of teaching, which is not so easy. So we had some visionary leaders. There was a need, market was demanding it, and that's how the thing went ahead. Now 16 years have gone. We have 800 students which have passed out. Initially we used to take 40. Till about last year the number went up to 60, and now this year intake we have doubled actually. We have talked to IIT, to NIT Trichy, NIT Surathkal, and the same MTech program is being rolled out in those two, because the company also has grown quite a lot. The numbers which we need are larger. So, so it has been good, and there have been some issues and some problems. So I'll just like to share some of the issues which we find. See, it's a sustained initiative for 16 years. So what basically we find is that the institution culture is very important in these type of programs, because not only the IIT Delhi and IIT Madras committed their time, they have committed their resources in terms of teaching, lab, and things like that. It is always a stretch. When a new course comes, you need specialized faculty. You need, every faculty member has to put in extra teaching hours. So that sort of culture, unless it is there in the institution, it doesn't really flower up. This we are now realizing 16 years later, because when we are going to other IITs and other institutions, the type of problems, and I have talked to IIT, all the other good old IITs, whether it is IIT Kharagpur, IIT Roorkee, BHU IIT, and many others. So the institutions have to come out of their comfort zones. The teachers have to, the professors have to agree. Without that, such a thing is not possible. From the industry side, what I find was L&T has committed money and resources, and we also treat the institutions with great respect, which also has helped. Though we are part of the selections and teaching, actually L&T never interferes in the selection process or the teaching process unless we are invited by the IIT to, they need some inputs on syllabus and things like that. They need some faster process for conducting competitive tests outside. So with this sort of arrangement, the initiative has been very successful. Now, and we have got very good engineers. Some of them are heading our projects abroad, and they are large projects. Nowadays, the project sizes are big, something like a 5,000 crore project, like we are doing now in Riyadh Metro in Saudi Arabia. It's a desert, as we all know. We have to put a railway track over there. A metro, that is, you have to construct a bridge and put a railway track above that. So like that, there are many road projects, and many of these BIS engineers, L&T Buildia scholarship engineers are helping us execute such projects. Because even if you build a house, it is very complex. And if you are really going to do a big project of 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 crores, future projects will be still bigger. Then you really need best of the minds to do it. Otherwise, the very complexity of such projects, an ordinary person is not able to comprehend how to plan, how to execute, so many resources which have to come. Now, going forward, we have certain challenges which I foresee. One is retention of engineers who complete. Almost half of them leave after a certain period, so that is the loss which we incur. We need to focus on how to retain them. Second thing is, industry, as somebody was saying, they are very busy people, don't have time for anything. So career, we don't even have sometimes enough attention to the career of an individual. There are 60 boys and girls coming out, they will go to some, 40, 50 different projects, and they are lost. 40 projects are not here, they are across India. And then what is happening to them? Are they being mentored? Is anything happening to them? How is their boss? Is their boss more qualified than them? Mostly the bosses are not more qualified than these boys. So that context, so we are not, going forward, we need to plan these people's career better so that our retention speaks. The interest from I would not say it is flagging, but can flag unless we build more meaning into these projects. A lot of the IIT faculties put in very good amount of time, because we have very good dedicated people here in civil management, mechanical and electrical departments. Actually, the intake of students is civil, mechanical, electrical. It's a multidisciplinary course. If you build a small house, you have electrical work, you have some mechanical in terms of structure, and civil is there. So when you go to big projects, it is always a combination of all these 3 or 4 branches. So all people come here and they give their time, but what do they get? They do MTech projects which are a value add to us. We give them industry problems. Every year now 60 industry projects are getting done. each of 6 months duration, but no research papers are coming out. So one thing which we are planning is somehow we should get some publications out of these bright students, so that even the faculty feels happy when some joint sort of publications are coming out. So these are some of the things which going forward we are planning to do. And as I said, we have increased the number from the 2 IITs, we have added 2 NITs, and God willing there will be 2 more this year. So the program has started with 40 and it's going to go to 180 in the next batch. So these are the few things I thought. It's a very sustained and successful experiment. It is tailored to the industry need. We have benefited. Hopefully IIT also makes some money out of it, because they also need facilities to sponsorship fees to create their own facilities, and it's good for both. So with these few words, if you have any questions on this program, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bhatnagar. It was very interesting. You have thrown open the forum to all the institutes who can come forward and present a proposal to L&T to offer such programs. From 40 to 180 is increasing the staff, the students' requirement. So it is up to us to grab the golden opportunity. For information, very recently we have conducted one program for TCS MTech program through Anna University Computer Science Department. I think some of the other established institutions will also be doing that. Now he has come forward that there is a program like this. We have to convince the L&T that we have the potential and capability, so that we can have a program like that. The other challenges he was looking at was the retention of staff and the career path for the people who are already employed. Maybe during our one credit course or value addition programs or special lectures we arrange for students, we can create some kind of awareness about this one. For information, sir, from the university side, in the curriculum we have included total quality management is one, professional ethics, a structured program with 3 credits is introduced that will help to address your issues. So with this, we are coming to the end of the session. We can take 1 or 2 questions in another 5 minutes time for each of the speaker. There is a question to Dr. Abhay Kumar. Mic is there, sir? No. Update person.
Here is a question from Professor of Mechanical Engineering, Mr. Prabhakaran from Karpagam University, Coimbatore. His question is, are we authorized to issue certificates, since that requires industry customers, especially overseas customers? The point is they are making a motor, non-destructive testing facilities they have, and then they wanted to certify somebody. Now I would share my experience. Now we have an anechoic chamber in the campus. There are antennas which need to be certified, wireless boards which need to be certified. Now whenever you want to get these sort of certification issued, there must be some agency which should have already authorized our laboratories. That is why we are going in for NABL accreditation. So this is sort of a ISO NABL certification. If it is there, then you can do it. But then if it is with respect to wireless boards, there is an international agency which should really look at the credentials and then allow us to issue certification. Generally that is in a fairly advanced stage only we can get that recognition. But we can do pre-compliance testing. So we can do the pre-compliance testing, because whenever a company wants to go and get it certified from that agency, it costs heavily. The time only is the cost. So if you want to reduce that, you do the pre-compliance in a lower cost agency and then go for a compliance testing in a much higher thing. So my suggestion is that you please try to certify your lab in one sense, and then look for opportunities to get it certified authentically. Thank you very much.
We can have 2 more questions.
I have a question to Mr. Rajiv. I am Ganesh from Ramakrishna Engineering College at Coimbatore, heading the Industry Institute Interface. Apart from taking into IITs or even, say, ISC, are you considering also other engineering institutes which are also capable of meeting requirements of L&T?
Some initial shortlisting was done, and those names are still on discussions. So we have got 4 colleges now, but there we already have some 4 discussions going on. So maybe at a later stage, 3 or 4 years down the road, when further things expand, we'll be open. Because we are in now talks with Kharagpur, with Varanasi and Roorkee, the 3 IITs actually, older ones. So also we need to have something in north, because in south now we have Trichy, we have IIT Madras, Surathkal can be west, Delhi is north. So we need a little geographical spread also actually.
Thank you.
One more question we can have before we adjourn for lunch. If you do not have any questions, I take this opportunity to thank the organizers for arranging such a wonderful program where you have all the stakeholders at one umbrella, and hats off to your participation. Without you, this cannot be a successful one. Thank you very much, one and all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for those wonderful inputs. On behalf of SEED and the delegates, I request Mr. N. Rajkumar, the Secretary of SEED, to present a memento to the chairperson, Dr. T. Tyagarajan. I request Mr. Sutarshan, the Senior HR Executive, SEED, to present a small memento to the Speaker, Tyagu Valliyappa. So I request Mr. Rajkumar to present the memento to Professor Dr. V. Abhay Kumar of Tyagarajar College of Engineering, Madurai. I request Mr. Sutarshan to present a memento to Mr. Rajiv Bhatnakar. With this, we come to an end of the panel discussion. Thank you one and all. And another announcement is that we have to reassemble at the same venue at 2:15. At 2:15 for the award ceremony, followed by the valediction. 2:15. Thank you one and all.